All right, all right, all right. Part two, here we go. So where were we? I actually recorded about half an hour. I thought I recorded about half an hour of the previous part two, realized I hadn't pressed record because I'm stupid and I'm new to this whole recording business. It's been about 2 weeks since I actually recorded the first part. So my hair's a little bit longer. I can't remember this game as well as I could last time, but that might be fun, you know? I don't know what happens, as you know, you don't know what happens. Let's see what happens. So when I left it, it was a bit of a cliffhanger, kind of. But Gandalf and Aragorn had charged back into Dol Amroth. They had butchered my army, which my army had inexplicably attacked them for no reason, which was a big mistake by me. But anyway, I have no Nazgul on the entire board. With 12 turns in, I've got no Nazgul on the board. I've got no discernible way of winning this game. My opponent doesn't really have an obvious way to win this game either. So let's see what happens. Let's see where this goes. I will tell you this much. If you thought the first half was interesting, the second half is when shit really gets wild. So let's explore that. Let's enjoy this together. All right. Okay. So I laugh. Okay. So my opponent plays a Palantir. They draw into. Oh no, I play Palantir. Draw into Fellowthing from the deep. My opponent gets some North folk up into the northwest. So now we're seeing some big mustering going on here. You know, we've moved across the elves from Grey Havens, and the northern force pool is beginning to see the light of day. They pretty much already. Oh no. Okay, I'm way behind. The northern force pool has already seen the light of day. There's only one left. Okay, so I start moving around some forces here. My opponent draws another card. We prove the Swifter. And then we have some confusion. And then I realize that I have literally 2 seed dies and 2 Ps, and I've got basically nothing to do. I've got no Nazgul to move. I've got no playable cards with my Ps I can actually play right now. You know, all these cards are either cards to attack the Fellowship or just, you know, stuff like Day Without Dawn, Balrog. So in a really sticky situation, not a whole lot I can do. So as a result of that, I decide to just start moving an army here just to kind of make a bit of a nuisance of itself, maybe threaten Helm's Deep. The problem is I can't move too big an army because I don't want to leave it vulnerable to a counter-attack. So I just moved this like mini, it's like a half-sized army across. It feels like not a great compromise, but I had to do something, right? My opponent passes. I attack Helm's Deep. Interesting. Okay. Helm's Deep goes into siege. My opponent says welcome. I think my opponent's probably enjoying this game a lot more than I am at this point. They play Dane just to make the final remaining strongholds that much harder to take. And I draw into a card. I've got, so what was I thinking here? So I killed. I knew that I had Balrog was essentially useless. I was never intending to attack Lorien anytime soon. So I think I just thought I'll draw a card and see what I get. Maybe I'll get a playable card. And I do. I draw into Many Kings to the Service of Mordor. And I say, might be the first game I've ever played where the 3 people muster every unit. We'll see if that happens. So I play Many Kings. And then my opponent says, well, dwarves need to get to war. Maybe baiting me to try and get me to attack them. I don't think I want the dwarves to war at this point, even though I could really use the mouth. I don't want them causing havoc. I say, only a matter of time, maybe on turn 17. Okay, so we're going to turn 13. My opponent draws into Path of the Woses, and there is another way. So thankfully, I did decide to stop, you know, get these bases covered, because if they use Path of the Woses now, especially if I move this army across, they could just charge into Mordor and it's game over. So if I get one bad roll, that would be it. And what do I draw? What did I draw? I drew into Threats and Promises and the Nazgul Strike. So I've got no Nazgul to strike with. Brilliant. So the Fellowship continue to heal themselves in Lorien. I roll this, a whole bunch of even more character dice. Fantastic. And my opponent rolls this. So quite a nice kind of mixed roll. They've got 3. Yeah, it's okay. Always nice to have a will. They start moving armies. So at this point, they're clearly trying to get this army together to do some kind of nasty attack. Probably on Mount Gundabad. Maybe on Moria. Both are potential targets. I'm not sure if I noticed that straight. I mean, I should have noticed it at the time. I must have noticed I had to do something. But I think I was more just focused on getting Nazgul back into the game. Yeah, so I recruit 2 Nazgul. My opponent keeps moving these armies, so now these guys are getting closer. So now I'm getting a little bit concerned. Okay, what are these guys doing? Don't like this. Are they going to try and sneak through here? What's going on? So I actually accidentally flew a single unit with the Nazgul to Druiden Forest. That was illegal. Doesn't impact the game, thankfully. I move another one to Umbar. Presumably because I want to move these armies down to kind of cut off this army from doing anything sneakily. If they have through a day and night, they could very quickly get to Minas Morgul, which could cause me big problems. So yes, I move these 2 armies across just in case, blocking them routes, preventing any funny business from War of the Woses if they attacked into Osgiliath, something like that. And then my opponent plays Reaper of the Swifter. So maybe this was the plan all along. It probably was, and it makes perfect sense. So da 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 da. And Gandhi and Aragorn are in Edoras. And so now, after all these battles and containing them, they've now run away and found an even bigger army. And I'm back to square one again. I say nice. I'm not thinking that at the time. I'm not pleased with that. I decide that right now my main priority is stopping this army from getting out. I don't want them to run loose. I want to keep contained if possible. So I attack into Western Met with my little silly 6 HP army. And I kill this clown in Western Met. And my opponent attacks Weather Hills from Bree, moving across here. Presumably to try and join up with a guy in Ettenmoors. No card. My opponent gets this horrendous roll, and I roll a 6. So that's nice. Lol, lol, lol. They press. I run away into is it Troll Shores? I attack into Pelagir from the south to try and get my victory points back up again and just get rid of this annoying army. Yep, so no card, nothing much happens. I think I kill 1 or 2. My opponent groups up these armies, and now I'm thinking, uh-oh, that's a much bigger army than I had really actually realized. It looks a lot worse when they join up. So 6-2-3 army, that's more than enough to take Mount Gundabad. So I realize, uh-oh, I got to do something about this. I got to fix this right now. And to be honest, I probably should have prioritized this earlier when I was moving forces down here. I really needed to realize how desperate my situation was up in the northwest. So what I do is I play the Ring Racer abroad to get one of my Nazgul up here, and then that allows me to get a credible defense in Mount Gundabad and stop myself getting steamrolled. Because if this army had got caught cold in Mount Graham, that could have been really, really nasty, because they could have just been wiped out, and then my opponent can just stroll into Gundabad. So my opponent uses a ring to try and get this basically so they can get under siege first, move next turn, and then I use the ring straight back at them to muster. So I get an elite in there. So I've got starting to get some kind of defense in there, which is vital at this point. All right, turn 14. My opponent draws into an end card and help unlooked for. And I draw into Hill Trolls and Dreadful Spells. So we both get cards that well, I mean, for me, these are actually 2 really, really nice draws. You know, when you're defending as Shadow, you really want these kind of forward mustering cards, so you can actually, you know, reinforce your strongholds if they get put under siege. The only problem is, I have completely exhausted the entire Sauron force pool. So even though I've got hill trolls, I can't use it. So I kill Foul Thing because that's not getting used anytime soon. And my opponent gets rid of Aemon. Did I get rid of Valor? Okay. I don't know what I would have got rid of instead of that, but Valor is such a good card. I think I would have tried to keep that. Anyway, so we roll. And my opponent attacks my Gundabad, go into siege. I attack Lauren. Okay, so my plan here, in this ridiculous plan, is to kill my own elites elsewhere so that I can then muster elites in Mount Gundabad using hill trolls. He says, wow, there's an army. And I tell them there's a reason for this. It's weird, but there's a reason. I wrote NC, they deselect the card because they don't want to play a card against nothing. I get one hit, and they get one hit, thankfully. I tell them they've got 2 rolls. They say, can I choose not to use them? And I was like, yeah, sure, if you don't want to roll the dice. I'm not sure if that's even legal. I think you probably have to roll. But I think they didn't want me to to open up my force pool. I was fine with the fact that I'd killed the only elite, so I don't mind more not dying. Anyway, so we carry on. It's Shkarpetka's turn. They start getting the dwarves down. So finally, around turn 14, the dwarves are gonna see some action. He says, here they come. So I say, wow, maybe turn 15, they're early. Typical dwarves. I get some more Nazgul spawned on the map, getting mustered. Dwarves come close to war. I move my Nazgul into Mount Gundabad to again help with that defense. My opponent attacks Western Met, so this army that I put there is going to see some action. We get the Ents against Devilry of Orthanc. I forgot that I'm so used to playing Devilry of Orthanc whenever I have an Isengard unit in play, and 90% of the time when you use those armies, it's against just some kind of stronghold or in a stronghold. I forgot you can't actually play it in open warfare. It has to be in a stronghold. So I lose that card. That's nice. Yeah, my opponent tells me the card doesn't work. I ask if I can keep it. They say no, which is fair enough. It's a league game. It was my mistake. And then we eventually get sorted out. I get 1 hit. My opponent gets 5 hits with Ents Rage. So this army has really done a great job. Really, really, will stand up, guys. And the clown from before has been replaced by another clown, single guy in Western Met who runs away. And now this army's open on the map, but that's fun. Really, really fun. But now that I've got 4 guys, 4 Nazgul, 4 Nazgai, I can actually have a good shot at Dreadful Spells to try and defend myself a bit better. So I play Dreadful Spells. I get 2 hits, which is above average. Really happy with that. My opponent says, ouch. So now down to 4-2-3 against a 5-1-4. So this army is not really strong enough to take that anymore. Although I should be down. I've got 1 too many units in there, so that's a mistake. I think I have to kill it in a minute when I realise. And now here comes Through a Day and a Night. So I knew this was coming at some point. And my opponent uses it very well to get to Western Brownland. So now, not only is Mount Gundabad in shit, so is Dol Guldur. So the game is really going against me now, like really getting very concerned about how the hell I'm going to survive here. Not only that, but like Morannon is just completely open. So if they did decide to just go there, looking back, I mean, I suppose I've got this 9 army I can get across, probably. Yeah, okay, so it's not as easy as it looks. But still, that army with those 2 leaders in it could probably take the whole of Mordor. All right. So, oh, this is Woodland Realm. Okay, so now I'm attacking Woodland Realm again to try and thin out my my elites. I get 1 hit, they get 2 hits. My opponent plays another ring to get Dol Guldur under siege. And now I play Hill Trolls. Okay, so looking back retrospectively, I think I probably should have just picked one and stuck and defended the one that's most likely to survive, because Is Dolgador ever gonna have any chance against this army? I don't think so. I think I should have just gone hardcore on Mount Gundabad. I decided to hedge my bets. I think that was a mistake. So anyway, so I get this up to a 3-1, and this one up to a 3-2. I kill the extra guy I accidentally put in there. Yeah, I think we're making quite a lot of mistakes at this point. It was very late. I think we're probably like a 1:30 a.m. something like that after 4 or 5 hours of playing. I draw into Grond, or more importantly, in this case, Dread and Despair. And Corsairs, better late than never, I guess. A Deadly Strife might come in useful. And my opponent draws into Horn of Gondor, Mighty Attack, and a Daylight. So yeah, good cards for both of us. Good offensive cards for both of us here. And the free people, the Fellowship, are almost down to full health again. So I haven't been on like 7, I think it was. They've just been sat there chilling out. My opponent says FP chillin', they like elves. I say seriously chillin', just getting wasted in Lorien with Galadriel, smoking. Alright, so we roll some more dice. My opponent says, I'm waiting for a turn where you'll have like 5 eyes over there. And I say, yeah, I'm lucky I haven't had any total blowout turns. Only one was like turn 3. I think I had a really bad turn rolling turn 3 or something like that. But since then, I haven't had one of those turns where you roll like 5 eyes. So my opponent's been a little bit unlucky in that sense. But they've had some decent rolls themselves. Let's have a look at the dice. Actually, I haven't looked at the stats, so if you're not sure if you can see this. So the free people have had slightly under on their combat dice. I've had slightly over, so I've been a little bit lucky there. They've had -12 character dice plus 7 Wills of the West. So it's actually probably a good thing that they didn't try and go with the Fellowship, because that would have really hurt. As it is, it hasn't hurt too much, because a will is better than a character die in general. And I've just had quite a lot of Ps. I can't really complain about my rolls this game. I definitely wasn't unlucky this game, I don't think. Okay, so my opponent attacks Dolgador. He says shine anyway to assert dominance. Haha. And then I think they realise that the card they have actually needs to give up some leadership. So they decide to not do the little joke. And they play Mighty Attacks. They give up Gandalf's leadership. Forfeit Gandhi. They get 2 hits. I get no hits. I roll this lovely roll. And not ideal. So yeah, getting that extra elite in there hasn't done a thing so far. And my opponent gets 2 hits. I get 1. So really weak defense. And then they press, and they get the 6 that they need, and I get a 6 back. Okay, so this army is diminished somewhat, but game is looking bad for me at this stage. I played Day Without Dawn just to slow them down a little bit. You know, I could have waited for one of those like ultimate, 5 Will of the West rolls that usually never comes. But I just thought, I've got all these cards that I can barely play. Let's just use one while I can play it. I say tricky decision 5,000. My opponent passes, saying that feels wrong, but whatever. I start moving this army up to just kind of, I know that I'm not going to take this back, but I want to just weaken this army as much as I can. Maybe I'll get lucky. And I moved the Etenmoor's army up. And now my opponent, just to be extra annoying, starts moving this army down. So now I have to, rather than just, I have to now worry about Moria as well. So now I'm getting attacked on all sides here. I use a ring to get the North Dunlanders inside so that this can't become a problem. The problem was I had character dice, I had no leaders on the board, so I had to kind of use a ring just to stop them threatening me with getting Moria under siege at the first move next turn, which wouldn't have been nice. So again, yeah, maybe that's a bit of a overkill with a ring, but anyway, I think I was just playing on instinct at this point. Yeah, so move these guys over. They draw a card. They're back again. I muster some more Nazguls. Okay, the Nazgai are back. You know, good thing about those Nazgai, they just never say die. The dwarves are now fully at war. I can finally get the mouth. Not this turn. Maybe if I'd kept that ring, I could have got the mouth. So that's perhaps a mistake there. And I move this army to Western Brownlands. I move the Nazgul there. So then I can with the final ice, the final dice, I can attack. And then my opponent goes, "They are coming!" And the dwarves finally show up, Dale, and I'm not pleased. NC. And they don't get any hits, actually. And he says they aren't very lucky. And they press, and I sneak up to Withered Heath, just so to threaten if they leave this empty, I can sneak back in. Maybe I should have gone to... I'm not sure if I could have gone to Wine. No, I couldn't have retreated to Wine Hills, could I? Because it's not free for movement. So I guess that was maybe the right move. Maybe I should have just joined up with this army to buffer. Yeah, in retrospect, probably should have just gone to the 3-2 here. That should have been my main priority. I attack Dol Guldur. My opponent fights, and now I think, haha, time for deadly strife. Time to dwindle those numbers down and do some damage. My opponent plays Drafe Stand, which just really counters the deadly strife, and I go, oh, you have so many good cards, because when you play as Shadow, you're not used to seeing this many Brave Stands, this many Mighty Attacks. Basically, I've seen pretty much every character card at some point. Character combat card, sorry. So I get 3. We'll take it. And my opponent gets a Mighty 5. And I say it's weird playing against FP like this. The C cards are awesome. Yeah. Alright, so they've done some damage, that little army. You know, I can't be too upset. I decide to press, and they go fine. And this could be a game-changing moment potentially, because even though my army is pretty pitiful, it means that once again, 10 hours later, Gandalf and Strider are once again trapped, and they cannot escape to help out armies elsewhere. You know, because if that Gandhi Aragon army can get up here to Mount Gundabad, and I can't finish off Dol Guldur, then that could be it, because they're so powerful offensively against Nazgul. Even just one of them getting up there. If Gandhi got out, Aragorn stayed, or something like that, that could be really, really nasty for me. So anyway, draw into cards. So now we're really getting low on cards. I think we draw our final strategy cards of the game here. I draw into a New Power Rising, and Nazgul Search. My opponent draws into File. And yep, that's it. Yeah, they've already drawn their last strategy card, and they say Omega lol. And the Fellowship is fully healed. So this is where I get quite an unfortunate roll considering the circumstances. Not the worst roll in the world, but it's more the strength of my opponent's roll. 6 attacks, the maximum amount of attacks possible. So that is really not what I want to see at this moment in the game, especially when I've got no musters at all. So it's really hard for me to defend. Lol, we say. And then they smartly play Help Unlooked For. So again, great use of cards. Their card play in this game has been fantastic, I've got to say. That my opponent did some great stuff. And this is a fantastic time to use Help Looked For against the army in Woodland Realm. I can only roll 1 dice, so I do get a hit. That happened to me a few times, luckily. My opponent gets 2 hits. I run away. They press, I run away. And I stay. I think I decided, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? So I have a decision to make here. Do I try to basically... I have 2 options, I think. To try to hurt this army, which, you know, what will become a combined elf and dwarf army on its way to Mount Gundabad. and very likely just get steamrolled, or do I bum rush my way down to Dol Guldur and have one last stab at taking out Gandhi and Aragorn? I just need 4 hits, and if I use my dice efficiently, that I can have 2 attacks against these 4. And in my hand, I'm holding a Deadly Strife. I'm holding a Great Host. So I got a shot. This is it. I've got to take down Gandhi and Aragorn once and for all, and pray that this holds. So let's see what happens. So yeah, tell me what you think you would have done here. Would you have just tried to block off the army? It wouldn't have prevented this army joining up with Mount Gundabad this turn. They've got the exact movement to do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 to attack. So it would make no difference. It would have just maybe made the army a little bit smaller. So my opponent says, "Oh man." Oh, I say, "Oh man, this is rough." And my opponent says, "Hell yeah." So they're really enjoying themselves. They're thinking after all these hours, they're going to win the game this turn. So I start marching south with my little armies. I can join up this guy as well and get a full 10 stack. My opponent joins up their armies. I combine in Dol Guldur. They start marching up. I attack Dol Guldur. Okay, here we go. Could this be it? Could this be the time when I swing it back round to my way? They play Heroic Death. No, but maybe I can kill Gandalf or Aragorn. You know, that could, again, they lose a die. If I survive this one turn, maybe that'll make a big difference. I just need to have a good roll. And I get that. Like, come on. Come on, like not a single hit with Deadly Strife at the most crucial moment in the game, when like this is like, you know, if you toss a coin and you get 5 hits, I'm you know, at least Gandhi's dead, and I still get another attack, you know, so just pain, absolute pain. And then of course they get 4 hits. They get the opposite roll to me, and I say that's GG, because I'm thinking, yeah, how the hell am I going to survive this? And they say, maybe your stronghold holds, who knows? And I say, yeah, perhaps, but so many elites. I mean, look at this army that's going to combine. It's going to be an absolute monster. But if you concede, it would be good, they say. Haha. Not today. Okay, I move final Nazgul up there to defend. Why the hell not? And then they combine the mega army. So now we've got a 2-8-8. A 2-8-8 against a 3-2-6. Not looking good for me. I mean, I do have an almost fully stacked Dol Guldur, but 2-8-8, man. Insane. And they say, let's do it. Gundabad. Here we go. The battle of our ages. You know, 15th mega battle this game. They play a card. I play a card. Dread and Despair against Daylight. So you may have noticed, I've drawn into quite a few Dread and Despairs here. Dread and Despair is the best defensive card in this situation for Shadow, I think. It's really, really handy. It's the one time, and luckily there's no Gandhi here, so I can actually play some of these decent defensive cards in combat. So Daylight against Dread and Despair. So I forfeit 4. My opponent's running 1, I'm running 3. So they get a hit with their 1, and I get 2 hits back. Okay, they press. They have no cards at this point. What cards have they got? Sudden Strike. So they could have played the old Sudden Strike there. But they decide not to. And I play, maybe they're worried about Swarm of Bat. I don't know. Anyway. So I play Dread and Despair again. Another forfeit 4. They miss, they miss. It's going good. It's actually going good. And I get 2 hits. So working away. We're down to a 1-5-8 against a 4 and 6. Could I actually survive this? More cards. Here comes a Sudden Strike. Here comes a Sudden Strike. And I play Crawler's Death, which adds 1 to my dice in my combat roll. Okay. So they do the pre, and Sudden Strike misses. They do attack, misses, and then they miss 15 dice. No 6s. Should have got 2.5. They get no 6s. Urgh. The most crucial battle of the game. And I get 4 hits. 4 hits? Oh, but I rolled 1 too many dice. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because I'm rolling on 4s on the combat roll. Yeah. So I get 3 hits. My opponent says, damn it. So now, 4-1 against 1-4. They press again. No hits again. 25 dice. No 6s. Man, that's rough. This game is just brutal sometimes. And I get 2 back. And now it's actually looking desperate. It's looking really desperate. My opponent says stop. Ellipsis. I just say this game is absurd. 25 dice, no 6s. Like, after all the good play they've done, that is, I mean, yeah, I feel bad for my opponent there. I'm happy. I was overjoyed at the time. I was having a great time. But that is rough. They say no dice. It's actually 25 dice. No 6, 25, yeah. But the Dread and Despair's massively helped. That's what really kept me alive, probably. And they also rolled 6 attacks to even be able to attack. If they had 1 less attack dice this round, then they wouldn't have been able to get the army over there. So they were lucky to be able to do that attack, but incredibly unlucky to not win the game there. So now I don't even use the Great Host. I just use it as New Power Rising to get some guys over in Dunland. Turn 17. And we're just on character cards now, so Break of the Fellowship, another Dread and Despair. And my opponent gets another Heroic Death. What dice are we getting? So now we're rolling, well, we've got 6, well, I get 2 eyes and musters and sea dice, and they get 5 attacks, so still a lot of attacks. So now suddenly they're trying to reinforce, and they're trying to get the Rivendell boys back up to help out, and I do not want that to happen. And they bring in the guy from Eagle's Eyrie as well to reinforce. So they're going to have another stab at it, and I have to find a way to stop that happening. So I have to be very efficient with my dice here, because I don't have any normal attack dice. I only have character dice, so I have to be quite sneaky with how I do this. So I think what am I thinking about? So I muster an elite. My opponent starts mustering dwarves in Ered Luin. I muster another elite. I'm just trying to get as big and painful an army as possible. They attack Etten-Moors. Nice, no card. So yeah, my plan here is to move a Nazgul across, then get across, then have 1 big attack on Mount Graham when he gets up to Mount Graham, and hopefully weaken this army so much that it barely makes a difference and can barely defend. I'm not sure if this was the most efficient thing to do. Maybe I could have got the mouth in and used an attack die to move the armies across, but I think I wanted to get as big, use the musters to make the army as big as possible. Because if I use 1 muster, it was either no mustering and just move the Etten-Moors army across, or get 2 elites in play and do it slightly more clumsily. But anyway, let's see what happens. So they get 1 hit, I get 2 hits. They're weakened, they press, I retreat. Now I move a Nazgul across so I can actually use my character guys to attack. They attack Mount Graham. No hits from either of us. I decide to stay. Maybe I should have retreated into Angmar there. No card. They roll 2. I roll 1 hit. They get 2 hits, and I get no hits. Okay. So they've done their job. Now I attack back again. I play Foul Stench, they play Heroic Death. I get 1 hit, they get no hits. And then I decide to press so I can get my army close enough to attack them again this turn. They attack Mount Gundabad again, and they must be so sick of Dread and Despair by now. So once again, they only get to roll 1 dice. I roll... Why did I... Oh yeah, because I'm attacking with that army. Okay. They decide to press. Did I forget to do the reroll there? That was weird. They finally get some 6s. My opponent finally gets some 6s. But I get 3 hits back. They say press. I don't know. I think they're feeling like it's all over now. No card, no card. They get 1 hit, and I get 3 hits back. And after all that, the whole attack on Mount Gundabad, which has used pretty much all the dwarves here, all of the elves here, all of the elves here, and all of the north forces here. So everything here has all gone into Mount Gundabad pretty much, except for the dribs and drabs that are left, and they've all died. This has been a hell of a crazy defense. Those dreaded spares saved the day, and not having Gandhi to join in with this army really saved me there. So I now attack back at Mount Gundabad just to finish them off, and Mount Gundabad is liberated. So now, after all this, I'm thinking, all right, surely that's the game. Like, what can they possibly do now? They certainly can't get a military victory now. They just don't have the armies for it. The force pool is literally 1 Rohirrim and 2 dwarven leaders. So what are they going to do now? The board is just sparse. It's empty. The Free Peoples have been decimated. So now all I've got to do is just march my armies in and win the game. So I'm thinking, and they decide to start moving the Fellowship again, and they're safe. So maybe I should have actually given some thought about what's the most effective thing to do here. Maybe I should be attacking Dol Guldur with everything I've got, just to try and lower his get him down to only 4 dice. But my initial thought was just get 10 VPs ASAP. I wasn't even in that big of a rush. Maybe I should have been. But I just thought, let's just get Jew. Jew's empty. That's 5 points. Gets me up to 8. Take Pelagir. That's 9. And then, maybe I'll take... is that right? Oh, no, because have I still got Dale? I think I might still have Dale. So maybe get the 4 cities, get the Shire, or get Grey Havens, or get Helm's Deep, something. I don't think too much about it, other than just getting Jew plus extra points. So I get some more Nazgul in play, because I can. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So, turn 18. Seems like the game's probably over, right? Draw Cruel Weather, just when you need it. Well, actually, we kind of do, actually. So, let's go through this quite quickly. So my opponent draws into Bilbo Song. Nice card to get at this point. I finally get the Mouth on turn 18. They get their final reinforcements. They've literally only got a single leader now left in the pool. I attack Pelagir. They get 3 hits back. I press, they run away. They move back into Dol Amroth. And they start moving up these dwarves, I guess, to protect Rivendell. So I think at this point I probably should have maybe just gone for Rivendell. But I think I was kind of so used to being defensive and seeing more armies march towards Gundabad. My instinct was just to defend Gundabad, babe, man. I just couldn't deal with that being attacked anymore. So I should have moved to Etten Moors and blocked that. But I was just so focused on Jew, I think. So yep, so I start building up the armies to Jew. Fellowship starts moving, gets hit, takes 2 damage. Building up in Rune. Fellowship moves again. I forgot to roll for the hunt because it's like 3 AM. I miss. I then play Cruel Weather, just because I can. And I draw into Shelob's Lair, and my opponent gets Gwai here. So let's go to this turn quite quickly. So I'm basically building up armies in the northeast. I accidentally killed on the dice without doing anything. The Fellowship is moving. So luckily for me, they're one die short. The Cruel Weather really helped. They're one die short of Mordor this turn, so I'm thinking, okay, I think I'm going to be all right here. Should be able to win the game, I think. Put Shellow's Lair in the pool. And now we're on turn 20. So the game has taken on a very different look to it now. I draw into the Eagles Coming. And my opponent... So I've literally... I think, did I even forget to draw a card this turn? I have no cards. I have no cards. And they move into Mordor. I miss with my rolls. I attack Erebor. Yeah, so I think here I should have split this army in two, taken half of its Erebor and half of its Woodland Realm. I didn't need to move the whole army into Erebor, and I'm really paying the price here because I've had a horrible roll here. It's all eyes, it's all Palantis, and it's all musters. So I think I only had 2 attacks total, one from the mouth. So that's actually really nasty at this point. I'm suddenly, after all this, the Fellowship are just getting a free run into Mordor, and I've, wasting little half movements that could really, really cost me. So I just didn't think I'd get that bad a roll, but it happens. I mean, I was probably overdue one. So I basically kill Erebor. Finally, they put Galadriel, file the Galadriel in the pool. They play Bilbo's Song, back down to 0. I flip the mouth and start moving towards Woodland Realm. But I can't do it this turn because I just don't have the dice. My opponent starts getting this army across the Rivendell. So now my other easy one to take, because again I didn't really get any movement this turn. I can't even get across the Rivendell to try and get some cheap points there, which is probably what I should have done. Even if I just moved like 2 of the elites, I probably could have taken Rivendell. So anyway, Rivendell is now pretty stacked, not looking good, not easy to take. Bad. My opponent draws into Ents. So now we've drawn into every single card. My opponent has 5 cards left. They have 2 Ent cards, the Eagles Coming, Gwahir, and Dead Men, and I've got Wormtongue. Beautiful. So what's going on here? So now they're in Mordor on turn 21. That's the latest I think I've ever seen the Fellowship get into Mordor. One eye in the pool. Fellowship moves. Okay, so what do we get? We get a 1. Nice. I attack Woodland Realm. So again, I just checked my dice. Again, I think I've 3 attacks? 3 attacks, so 2 eyes, 2 musters. Well, I suppose 4 attacks with that if I use a muster. It's not as bad, but again, it's not ideal. It's really use more attacks this round. They move again, and it's an eye. So this time I get 3 reveal, which is okay. Better than... Let's have a look at the pool, actually. How are we looking? So all the reds are in there, 2 blues are in there. A lot of nice tiles, because the Fellowship's barely moved this game. So all of these are beautiful for the free people. The only ones that really help me are the reds and the eyes at this stage. Maybe a 3. Woodland Realm, attack Woodland Realm, take it down. So now I'm on 8 BP. But the Fellowship are getting close. Am I even going to have time to win the game? And I start to realize after all this, after the crazy battles in Gondor and the heroics up in Mount Gundabad and hanging on by a thread, really luckily, that I'm going to lose to like a slow march of the Fellowship on like turn 21. And I'm just like, it just feels really annoying just to lose like that after all this. So the Fellowship hide. I decide to go for Helm's Deep. So I think this is rash, but I'm thinking I've got to try and win the game this turn. Got to try and win the game this turn because I might not get a go next turn. And the only way I can do that with the combinations I've got, If I'd been a bit more efficient and moved one of these half movements earlier on and got this whole army down here, I would have had a shot at taking Helm's Deep. But as things stand, I've just got to take a punt with the 1-3-3 because I had these 2 bad dice rolls in a row, and just hope that I can take it and that or my opponent hits a red. So we go Helm's Deep with this not really big enough army to take it, especially considering I figure my opponent probably has Ent cards. They get a 0, and I say, oh man, I can't believe I'm going to lose like this. My opponent says intrigue. He says, nah, they're chilling. So I think my opponent's getting a bit confident again. They're thinking, I've got this. Finally, they've got this. And I say, here come the Ent cards, knowing that I'm going to get butchered here. And there we go. Yeah, Nameless Wood. I get 1 hit, and my opponent rolls this incredible roll. And my these guys have been horrendous this game. They're like, I think 5 of them died in a fight here, and then they did 6 damage against me here. So my wargs have been horrendous this match. So yeah, so that plan's dead again. You know, absolutely just straight wiped out. Amazing. What a game. Yeah, seriously. And I say best and worst game I've ever played. So I'm thinking again, I've lost the game. I've lost the game. I don't know what was going on here. I think just general tiredness. I might have even killed a die because I had nothing I could do with it. And here are the final, well, potentially the final rolls. And they get 4 movement. Oh, no, sorry. They get 2 movement. They get 2 movement. Which gives me a real shot. If they get an I or the red on the first one, I can win the game. So let's see what happens. They move. And it's another 0. So they've had a 1, a 0, a 0, and an I. So they've had great, really, really good tiles in Mordor. Just not what I want to see. And I just say, wow. So I'm thinking it's over, I'm screwed. And I start the slow march of the Dunlander, the lonely Dunlander, up to Grey Havens, which has been vacated. And my opponent moves again. Here we go, the final move. And I draw the red! So after all this, they've marched all the way to the top, and I pull out the red tile. Oh my god. I just say, oh my god, this fucking game. So then my opponent's up to 7 corruption. And they are stuck. They've only got 2 movements. So if they'd had another one, they could have had another shot at it. It would have been a gamble at this point, because I think the eyes would have killed them. But they would have had at least a 50-50 shot winning the game, I think. But as it is, stopped. And I have exactly the movement to get this guy up to Grey Havens and get to 10 VP. Exactly the right movement. So 1, 2, yeah, I've got 3 more movement. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so if I'd had 1 fewer, or my opponent had left 1 little dwarf or something up here, and I say this might be the wildest game of all time, and my opponent says it goddamn is. And so after all this, yeah, walking into Grey Havens, and my opponent says, I guess there's no way to stop it. And I say, I'm not sure how, because looking at it, I just thought, what could you possibly do? And he says, should have left the dwarves. And we both lament the uselessness of the dwarves. And my opponent decides to attack Dol Guldur, and I'm like, I mean, why not, you know? Spit in the eye of fate. Just stick it to me. Attack Dol Guldur, why not? They play a card, Heroic Death. They roll 2 hits. No, I roll 2 hits, and they roll 2 hits back. Gandhi dies after all this, you know, finally falls. They press, I fight, no card, no card. They get 1 hit, I get, oh no, they get 2 hits, I get 2 hits back. They press, I stay. We both completely miss, I stay. They press, I get a hit, they get a hit. And now it's mano y mano, I think. 1v1. And then he rolls a 6. And the final guy dies. And I think, okay, you know, no big deal. I can deal with that. What's he going to do? And I say he's free. My opponent says ruffle. I slowly march my guy close to Grey Havens. And I say, think that's it. Then my opponent... did they pass, I think? Oh, they just kill a die. And then they play Guahir. I noticed they have 3 cards left at this point. So they play Guahir, and I just think, yeah, whatever. Cool. Put him in there. What does it matter to me? And he says, he'll not give up. And I just think my opponent's playing around. You know, just having some fun at the end of the game. So I just thought, okay, I'll have some fun as well. So I laugh, and then I say party time, and I move the mouth into the middle of the board, and I just make a little dance party, bring out the Naz guy, and, you know, have a good time. And then, boom, here it comes. Dead Men of Dunharrow. And my opponent goes, Pelagir! And I say, oh my fucking god. And he says, he screams, go away. He rolls 3 hits, takes Pelagir back with Aragorn, and puts me down to 9 VP. So having been utterly convinced I've won the game, having gone through all of this, he has the combination of, he wins the fight in Dol Guldur by a single guy, has the 1 movement card left in the deck to get Gandalf or get Aragorn to Helm's Deep, and then he has the 1 other card in the deck which allows him to attack a stronghold with his final die and take back Pelagir. And I am in absolute shock. And I realise also that if I hadn't done the dance party, I could have used the final C die to attack back into Pelagir. And so it's my hubris, my cockiness, my silliness, my being a twat has cost me the game after 6 hours. And I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe what I've just witnessed, you know. So a red tile on the final movement, 25 rolls without a 6, the exact movement to get a guy into empty Grey Havens, and then the exact combination of cards after a 1v1 dice roll battle to get the guy into Helm's Deep and down into Pelagir. Could not believe it. I was kind of laughing. I was like so tired at this point. And I just say, mate, that's absolutely insane. And my opponent's disgusting game, Ruffle. And I just say that's incredible, so well played. I just can't believe it. And I say all because I did the stupid dance. So anyway, so we do our final dice rolls. My opponent moves the Fellowship, and I do have a 2. They only get 1 movement, so I do actually have a tiny chance of surviving if they draw a red tile. I do a countdown, and they draw an eye, and GG. And that's that. What a game. Holy moly. I cannot believe that move at the end. Okay, so then we have some chat. Then I go to bed, and I'm lying there. I've got a bit of like an adrenaline rush. I'm kind of thinking it through, going like, wow, that's such a wild game. So I'll never have a game like that ever again. And after about 5 minutes, just kind of mulling it over, I suddenly realise the final move of the game, where he moved Aragorn from him down to here in Pelagir, it's an illegal move. Because, well, it's not an illegal move, but it doesn't change the victory points. Because the Free People's Force Pool was empty. There were no forces to actually take it back as a territory. So I'm like, oh man, I've won. After the fact, I've won the game. So then I go onto the Discord and I start messaging people to try and figure out the rules, because I can't remember the rules. And my opponent did it so confidently that I was just like, I just assumed it was right. And then it turns out that, yeah, you know, you can't retake Pelagir unless you have a military unit left in the force pool to step in. So because my opponent had used every single last Gondorian, that play wasn't possible. If they hadn't mustered that one little guy in Losanak just to slow me down, maybe this would have been the best comeback of all time. But instead, I had to, you know, actually go scurrying online and say, you know, can we get the rule change, get the result change? So it was really kind of an unfortunate ending, to be honest. It was hilarious the way it ended in the game itself, but I actually ended up winning. in a weird way. And while my opponent was still asleep, my opponent didn't realize for like about a day. They probably just thought they had won this incredible game in the most incredible way. But lo and behold, no, it was just a little rule mistake. So kind of a huge climax and then a bit of an anticlimax. So yeah, weird way to win the game. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed that. That's the craziest game I've ever played, probably the craziest game I ever will play of War of the Ring. And if I, maybe I'll make some more videos if people enjoy this. Definitely won't be this long. But yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers, and have a good one.